Hi guys. So there were two questions this week. Um, Actually, kind of more like three because the second one is divided up into like two different questions, kind of. But anyways, the first question was why should transition plans start at 14? And when I was first watching the video lecture, I hadn't read the chapter yet. So like the first kind of thoughts that went through my mind when I heard this question was kind of like where I was at when I was 14 years old. And so, like, when I was 14 years old, if you had, like, asked me what I wanted to do when I graduated high school and, like, moved on with my life, either, like, college or whatever it might have been, um, I wasn't very sure. I didn't really have a plan set in place. I had a few ideas, a few interests that I was thinking about pursuing, but, like, nothing solid or concrete. Um, so the fact that the transition plans start at 14 for students with disabilities kind of shocked me just because, like, I don't think that I would know what to say at 14 or what kind of thoughts that I would have. But then after reading the book, um, on page 83, it says, in the transition from school to adult life, many students and parents receive quite a shock. Once they leave school, students may not receive any further assistance from government programs, or at least they may be placed on long waiting lists for employment training, housing, or education assistance. Thus, a person with a disability may experience a significant loss in services at a crucial time. Um, so yeah, that's page 83 to 84. And after reading that, the fact that the transition plans start, or the ideas for the transition plans start at age 14, that makes a lot more sense to me because because of this fact that that many parents and students are kind of shocked when they graduate and they don't have these services. So like the quicker that the students and the parents and whoever else is involved, the teachers and everything, can start making plans for the student, I feel like the better chances they're going to have when they graduate, and like the quicker that they can kind of start putting plans together and like getting services and like looking for different services and stuff instead of like waiting up to the last second and like not having anything. So that made more sense to me. So I do think that 14 is a good age for transition plans to start. And then the second question, the first part of the second question was, how do you think transition goals and support systems affect the priorities of the student? And I think that I think that it's a good it's a good balance. I think that it's good for students to start thinking about what they want to do after school, at a young age, that like the age of 14. And I think that that's totally acceptable and it makes a lot of sense. Um, but I think that, especially after watching the Temple Grandin video, I think that um, like having classes that are more like hands-on type classes, like science classes, especially like the art classes and the music classes and stuff, like I think that's really helpful um, and really good for not only students with disabilities, but like all students. So I think that that's helpful um, in the schooling department and also just like regular schooling. And then also like thinking about plans after school is important too. And I think it also depends like how the student is feeling, if they're thinking about going to a secondary school or like college after they graduate from high school, it would be more important to focus on the academics and schooling. But if the student knows that they want to go into a specific like vocational type school for like auto repair or something, something like that, some kind of vocational school, or if their plan is to learn how to live independently on their own and that is like their main plan, which is hard for anyone, but I feel like if that is the case scenario, then possibly focusing on the transition plans a little bit more than the academics would make more sense. So I think that once again, it's, you know, very dependent on the student, and it's not super black and white. Like, it should always be focused on school, or it should always be focused on the transition goals. I think it really depends on the student themselves. Um, so yeah, I think that I answered all the questions. Okay, thanks.